let's go. So before we begin, let's look at the track. The Austrian track is an interesting track. Now, I wouldn't call this a impossibly tough track like Suzuka, nor is it a very default track where you can sort of figure out how to win it like Spain. The Spanish track is a very good track. Every driver wants to drive there. Everybody knows how to win in that track. Everybody has a mild advantage in that track. Whereas Austria, it's a little different. Historically, Austrian Grand Prix or the Red Bull Ring has always given something interesting every race. Another interesting fact is Lewis Hamilton, I think, has never won here, and Max has won a lot of times. So it's one of those tracks where somebody like a Max has a ginormous advantage, and somebody like a Lewis is not as good. So after the high of Spain, if you're expecting Lewis to win here, don't be. I don't think he's going to do anything. And yeah, so that's the Austrian Grand Prix track. Now let's analyze the track. When you look at Sector 1, the first turn, the third turn, and the 10th turn, these are maybe the toughest parts of the track. Okay, everywhere else it's pretty smooth. So the moment the start happens, there's a sharp turn to the to the right in Sector 1, the first turn. That's where most of the braking happens. That's where most of the skill goes to the toss, and everybody sort of loses track. And around Sector, because it's the sharp turn, and around Sector 3, the third sector, there is a little bit of a sharper turn, but there's a U in there where you can have mild advantages. Maybe even in the straights, you can have a chance of a overtake. Then there are multiple wide hairpin sectors where there are chances where you can easily overtake. And then there's Sector 10 where there's another right angle. But the worst is the first turn. If you can cross that hurdle, the rest is pretty much a breeze for a very talented F1 driver. So that's the thing with Austria. There's a chance of chaos right in the start, and that's why there's always something interesting here. So the Austrian GP qualifying was interesting. Russell was finally back on top, but he did it through very Russell means. There was a yellow flag. He mildly infringed, but due to a technicality, he still got a pole. Charles was supposedly supposed to get the pole, but he didn't. But regardless, okay, Charles was number 2 and Hamilton was 3rd. So it looked great for Ferrari, but that's not how it ended up. So yeah, Russell started, Leclerc, Hamilton behind. Russell had a great start. Verstappen's number 5. He did not score well at all. A very uncommon crash in the qualifying, but he was still number 5. Hadjar was number 7, no, number 8. Then right at the start, he overtook Piastri and he became number 7. So that was a lineup. That's how the race started. So Russell had an extraordinary start. Russell just flew, and Leclerc needed this win. Leclerc was supposed to be on pole, and Russell got that pole through a technicality. So Leclerc really fought him, and fighting him, he lost some pace exactly at Sector 2, and Russell started flying. Sector 1, sorry. The first turn is where all the chaos happens. The first turn, Russell just had a pace advantage, and he just flew. Leclerc made a wrong move. He defended too much, and he lost a little. Then that was it. Leclerc's race was gone. It was nothing special. After that, he kept fighting. Either way, Hamilton took the P2 from Leclerc, and then Hamilton kept trying, but Hamilton had his own battles. He battled both the Red Bulls. So at one point he was battling Hadjar, I remember, and they were having an extraordinary battle back in front. And Hamilton is like the king of clean racing, so I think everybody's just forced to clean race around him, really clean race. This season, the miracle is that Verstappen is also, a very clean racer. After battling Hadjar back and forth sometime, Hadjar is all the way in the back, by the way. Somehow Hamilton, through bad pit stops or somewhere in the back, then he again pushed himself front, but he lost the P to Piastri. But Verstappen was behind him. Verstappen and Hamilton had a wonderful battle. Verstappen was very, very respectful of Hamilton. I think Verstappen and Hamilton are finally becoming these veteran drivers who know exactly. I mean, they are veteran drivers, but they're becoming this leader and the example setting phase where they're really showing the rookies how to race. That's what I see there. And both of them are racing great. Then there was the boy king, Kimi Antonelli. This guy, everybody wants him to win. I want him to win, but he did not have a good qualifying, so he qualified P4 or somewhere in the midfield. But Kimi Antonelli was Kimi Antonelli. He fought violently, and he somehow kept finding his way up But in the start of the race, it was Russell, Hamilton, Piastri, and Verstappen. I told you, Verstappen knows this track very well. He'll find a way to get up. So yeah, so it even though it looked disastrous on qualifying, Verstappen has still qualified fifth. So somehow he was still in this race in the start. Already, the Ferraris have had a bad tire situation. The Ferrari car turns very well, but everywhere else they are not as good. They are like second best or third best. So when it comes to tires, they have problems. So Hamilton pit first, like very early, he did a pit, just like in Spain. But alas, the Spain pit stop did not work here. As he pit, he lost a lot of positions. And yeah, he was back in the midfield. So, okay, right as the race starts, I think in the third lap or something, already the Cadillacs are gone. Bottas goes and then Perez goes, and that was it. The Cadillacs are just a joke right now. They're gone. And randomly, I see Stroll is out from some point. No, Sainz was out. Again, the lower grid, the back markers are having a disaster of a season. Williams, Sainz was out. Sainz always has had a disaster in Austria. I think always his cars went on fire. It's like an Austria curse for Sainz. Nobody talks about it, but it's very real. Okay, Sainz was out, and Stroll was out at some point. Okay, so these guys are all the usual idiots were out. Yeah, there was that. And then if you notice Verstappen has a point to prove. Verstappen was setting fastest lap after fastest lap. And everybody's like, what the shit just happened to Red Bull? Red Bull is not a good car. And out of nowhere, Verstappen is in the picture. See, I told you, like, there's something about Austria. Austria is just like Silverstone for Hamilton. This guy knows Austria. He knows the Red Bull ring. It is his ring. He'll find a way to get up there. He was setting insane How can the dude who's number fourth or something set fastest lap after fastest lap when Russell is leading and flying? Russell is so far away. He should be the king of fastest lap here. But no, Verstappen is so fast every lap, and he's just gaining ground from fifth to fourth to fourth to third to third to fourth. He was just battling. And right behind him is Kimi. Kimi is just like, he's like a mini Verstappen. He needs the same win. He has to keep winning. He needs a high of keep winning. And he's biting and nipping and crawling. He's right behind. These two have a battle. They really try to fight each other, push each other off. But again, very respectfully though. There's something about Verstappen this season. He's just smarter. Kimi's not. Kimi's trying to push. Kimi almost had a 5-second penalty at some point, but still, it worked. They kept fighting. Then, yeah, around after Stroll goes away or something, this guy Hamilton pits right at the Bottas or one incident, and then it was Russell. Russell pit after a while. They had a very good tire phase. Right when Russell pit, Verstappen took the lead, and he really flew. I mean, at one point, people thought he's going to have like a huge advantage because he was flying. He wants to just disintegrate those tires. He doesn't care, and he went from a few seconds behind Russell to like 10 seconds above the field, 15 seconds above the field. He just really flew. And Russell is behind because he's spitting. And right as he came back, Verstappen was on top, Antonelli's behind him, and Piastri was in the mix. So, yeah. So, again, okay, let's talk about McLaren this season. McLaren has built a good car, but it's just engine issues. It's got so many Mercedes engine problems. They keep screwing it up. They've actually not had a bad strategy anytime. The drivers have been really good. I think Piastri is, honest, Piastri stint where sometimes he's a god and sometimes he's just not that good. Norris has always been good, but this race Norris is nowhere. But McLaren has something. They're still the defending world champions, but it's on their day, they're very good. That's what I've noticed. So Piastri's nipping and butting in the back. Yeah, so that was a race. The top guys racing top way. The story is basically Verstappen randomly is on top. Like, he's gone. You can't spot him anywhere. Then there's very far away, there is Verstappen, and then there's Antonelli just fighting each other, just nose to tail. And everybody's like, what is Verstappen doing here? How did he show up? Because otherwise it is a largely boring race. And you keep seeing this dude just setting purple after purple, and he's P3 and P2. And he's really defending that car. I don't know what happened to Red Bull. It's suddenly up there. So then they show what happened, what was the debris, and turns out Albon hit a bollard, one of those cones. Remember back in Miami, Verstappen hit a bollard and it became a big thing. So basically one of those cones, and that cone created a lot of debris. And It was an in unnecessary VSC. Yeah, regardless, that's why Anthony lost some position. Then let's keep an eye on the bottom. Then looking at the bottom half, that's gone. The bottom half is pointless. The midfield is interesting. The RBs are doing well in the midfield, and then there is the Alpine. These two are doing well. There were not many battles in the midfield. They were just, sort of behind each other. RBs just find a way to get up there. But yeah, largely that was midfield. Nothing special to talk about. But the action is on the top. These two are fighting. Antonelli and Verstappen are fighting. Briefly, for a nanosecond, Antonelli overtook Verstappen, and again Verstappen pushed him down. Verstappen on a tier 4, number 3 or number 4 car is destroying these guys. He's truly mogging them, saying that I'm still the GOAT. He's just nobody expects Red Bull to be anywhere on the top 3. Okay, so Verstappen has been on 3 recently, and this is how he crawls back up. He was 3 somewhere, I think, a few races earlier, and now he's towards P2. Hajar had a P3 in Monaco. The Red Bull has something. They just don't know what it is. They've just not discovered it. So yeah, that's what I see. Yeah, they fought. The others were fine. Nothing special. We around one time, somewhere towards the end, you saw Alonso. He was getting lapped by everyone. He was the last driver, and he's randomly in between Russell, Verstappen, and Antonelli, and it's almost like Alonso was giving a toe to Verstappen. That's what it looked like. Because of Alonso, somehow he's gaining ground on Russell, and he was getting closer. And even if Russell, because has to, not Verstappen, Alonso has to move away from Verstappen because the guy is being lapped. So even if Alonso's moves away, he was right above Antonelli, and he was being a problem for Antonelli. And yeah, there was some rumors that Alonso was trying to help Verstappen and all that. But yeah, whatever. He was there. He was being a nuisance to Antonelli. But Antonelli's P3, and eventually Alonso moved away, and it was back to fighting. Then, yeah, there was largely the race. They kept fighting, and even to the end, Russell already won. Russell easily won. It was very evident he was in pace, and he won. So the story was in Verstappen and Antonelli. Antonelli needs a P2. He needs to know that he's right behind. He wants that Mercedes P1, P2. And Verstappen, I mean, he sees that podium. He needs that podium. And this essentially the third or fourth best car on the grid is fighting the top ones and really on pace. It was crazy to watch. Yesterday it was, last race it was Ferrari fighting, and this race it's these guys. It's crazy. And yeah, and eventually Verstappen got a P2. You don't expect it, but Verstappen was second. And then there was Antonelli, who was the third. And by nanoseconds, of 3/10 of a second, something, they almost had a photo finish. That's how good this race was. And yeah, there was P1 was Russell, P2 was Verstappen, and P3 was Antonelli by a hair. So yeah, they really fought. Was Russell really good this race? If you look on paper, it does look that way, but there were multiple times where Antonelli took over Russell pretty easily. If there was a few more laps, Russell would have lost his lead for sure. Verstappen would have become P3 somewhere. Russell would have definitely lost his lead if there were 10 more laps. One more lap and Antonelli would have been P2. So it looks like there is something with Red Bull. They're kind of good. Or is it just Verstappen? Who knows? But Antonelli is still on top. Russell is pretty good. He's slowly crawling back. We'll see. We'll see where it goes. My money at the moment is in Antonelli. I had given up on Russell, but you never know with these F1. It's just random. Like, nobody expected Verstappen to ever crawl back last year. And he crawled back from like over 100 points to P2. Like, it's insane what happens in F1. We'll see. At the moment, it looks like Russell's the lead and Kimi is the lead and Russell's behind, but you never know. And then the others, both the RBs, all the Red Bulls are great. Like Hajar had a P5 or something, came out great. Red Bulls, both of them were in the points. The RBs were in the points. So all the Red Bull cars were up there. I think the other was Gasly. He got a point, and then there was Norris. Whatever, the usual guys had a decent race. It don't matter. What I'm saying is Verstappen was pretty great. At one point, all 3 of them stood on the top step for a picture, and Russell didn't like it. But yeah, whatever. Anyway, so that was that. There was a race. Pretty uneventful apart from the top 3, apart from Verstappen mainly. Otherwise, largely an uneventful race. Next, we're headed to Silverstone. Silverstone, you really see this demon of Hamilton coming out. There's a sprint and a feature race, so we'll see what happens. My money's on Hamilton. He's going to do something great. I don't know whether they'll win. That's unrealistic, but they'll be in the top step for sure. P3, P3 maybe, but you never know with Ferrari, they just don't have that good tires. They might screw it up, and Silverstone's very hot. Heat is bad for Mercedes, and altitude is bad for Ferrari, I hear. So you never know. But it's either gonna be Mercedes or Red Bull or Ferrari or McLaren, and it looks like it might be Mercedes, Ferrari, McLaren, because all three of them are celebrated in this in Silverstone. All three of them are really good. This is amazing. Hamilton is, I think, lost once in Silverstone in his entire goddamn 7 championship winning career. I think he's lost once. Russell also has been very good. I think he's lost very rarely in Silverstone. He's very good. The Brits really know Silverstone. They understand. Silverstone also a very good track. Yeah, so we'll see. Let's see what happens. The main takeaways were, is Verstappen going to McLaren? It makes no sense. Why would Verstappen go to McLaren? McLaren's not like it's great or anything. But yeah, you never know. Not Isaac. There's a chance that Liam Lawson could be replaced by some rookie or something. I don't know why. Lawson's doing great. He also got the lead points this race as well. He's doing great. Lawson's the type of guy who's very good in the midfield. You don't need to get him up. Unless the guy who's replacing him is something like a Limblad who's going to be a world champion someday, there's no point replacing Lawson. But that's when people said maybe Verstappen might be going away to McLaren next year, which is ridiculous. I don't see McLaren and Verstappen together. It just makes no sense. He just doesn't like them. But yeah, GP is going there. Who knows? Yeah, there was that. Don't count Verstappen out. I mean, people are counting him out, and Daddy's back. It's all I'm saying. Don't count Hamilton out. These two they are insane. They show up out of nowhere. They're the boogeyman of racing. You think he's gone. Everybody thinks Hamilton or Verstappen's gone, and Verstappen truly is somebody everybody's written off. But he's the boogeyman. He shows up. He finds a way to be. He's Freddy with that axe. He's there. He's always there. He's always a trouble. And when it's Verstappen who's up, it's yeah. You gotta keep him in mind. You never know this guy. Yeah, that was Austria. Bye bye.